To my fellow Americans from near and far standing in the sunshine, it is great to be back in the Keystone State. And I couldn't be more honored. Couldn't be more honored to be introduced today by an extraordinary American, a decorated combat veteran, a man who loves this country and all the things that have made America safe and secure and strong throughout our history, and the next congressman from Pennsylvania's 17th Congressional District, Sean Parnell, everybody. What a great guy. What a great guy. I also want to give you one more chance to say thanks to two people who I will tell you have literally been fighting every day alongside President Donald Trump to keep the promises that we made to the people of Pennsylvania 4 years ago. They stood strong for an agenda that made America great again in 3 short years, and they're going to stand strong all the way through Election Day when we make America great again for 4 more years. Congressman Mike Kelly, Congressman John Joyce, thank you so much for your strong support for this president and the people of Pennsylvania. It really is great to be here with so many friends. But I got to be honest with you. I'm here for one reason and one reason only. And that is that Pennsylvania and America need 4 more years of President Donald Trump in the White House. And I thought the best place to come to kick off this post-Labor Day occasion was in Freedom, Pennsylvania. How perfect is that? You know, 4 years ago, a movement was born. It's a movement of everyday Americans from every walk of life. Here in Pennsylvania, you believe we could be strong again. You believe we could be prosperous again. You believe America could be respected again. You said yes to President Donald Trump in 2016, and from where I stand, I think Pennsylvania is going to say yes to 4 more years of President Donald Trump in 2020. I mean, look how far we've come. I don't want to interrupt you. Thank you, man. That was great. I mean, think about it. 4 years ago, we inherited a military hollowed out by devastating budget cuts, an economy struggling to break out of the slowest recovery since the Great Depression. Terrorism was on the rise around the world. We witnessed a steady assault on our most cherished values, including the freedom of religion and the sanctity of human life. But in 3 short years, what a difference Pennsylvania's choice made. Under this president's leadership, as the proud father of a United States Marine, I couldn't be more proud to say that we rebuilt our military. And we're finally giving our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Coast Guard the resources and the support that they deserve every single day. We revived our economy by cutting taxes across the board for businesses large and small and working families. We rolled back federal red tape. We unleashed American energy as never before, and an American energy renaissance has come to Pennsylvania and all across the heartland. Beyond that, we appointed judges who will uphold all the God-given liberties enshrined in our Constitution. When I was getting off the bus, which is just down the road, by the way, couldn't come up the gravel, President Trump announced today an all-new list. Principled conservatives. You give us 4 more years, we'll have more conservatives on the Supreme Court of the United States, I promise. And they're all going to be men and women like those before who are going to stand for all the liberties enshrined in our Bill of Rights, like the freedom of speech, the freedom of religion, and the Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms. So this president has stood for our liberties. He stood for the right to life. And President Donald Trump has stood every day with the men and women who serve in law enforcement, and we will stand with them for 4 more years. Like all of you, President Trump and I know that the men and women who serve in law enforcement are some of the best people in this country. I mean, literally. When they put on that uniform and strap on a sidearm and walk out the door, leaving their families at the breakfast table, they put their lives on the line every day. They've answered a calling to consider our lives more important than their own. And our police officers deserve the respect of every American every day. Now, the President and I will always support the right of Americans to peaceful protest. But rioting and looting is not peaceful protest. Burning businesses is not free speech, and those who do so will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. People of America deserve better. And frankly, the people of Pittsburgh ought to be able to sit at an outdoor restaurant or go to McDonald's without being harassed. I mean, folks, it's got to stop. We're going to have law and order in every city in this country for every American of every race and creed and color. So help us God. That's why our president has taken action to support law and order all across this country. We funded more than 4,000 police officers over the last 4 years through the COPS program. We sent 200 federal law enforcement officers into Kenosha, Wisconsin, just a few short days ago and quelled the violence. And I'm proud to report to you that Operation Legend has already seen the arrest and prosecution of more than 2,000 violent protesters all across America. In fact, the Attorney General, Bill Barr, just announced this morning that in Chicago, the murder rate has already been cut in half since Operation Legend began. But for months, all Joe Biden ever talked about was peaceful protesters. As the American people watch businesses and communities in our major cities burn. Now, last week, he came to Pittsburgh and finally condemned what he called violence in every form it takes. But right after that, he criticized law enforcement. I mean, it took him 3 months to condemn Antifa. And he still hasn't called out his campaign staff or his running mate for raising money to bail out violent criminals. And he's never called on Democrat mayors to get their cities under control. I mean, the truth is, Joe Biden had doubled down on the policies that are leading to violence in our major cities. Undermining support for law enforcement has real consequences. It emboldens those who would sow chaos on our streets, and it demoralizes the men and women who serve in law enforcement. I mean, that's probably why after 7 days of protests in Rochester, the chief of police and the command staff all resigned yesterday. In fact, at least 6 chiefs of police have resigned in major cities since the 1st of June. So let me be clear. We are going to stand with the men and women who serve on the thin blue line of law enforcement, whether it's in Rochester, in Portland, or in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We will always back the blue. I mean, that's probably why the largest police union in America, the National FOP, just endorsed President Donald Trump for 4 more years. Cops are for Trump because Trump's for cops. Joe Biden, well, he says America is systemically racist, and that law enforcement, in his words, has a, quote, implicit bias against minorities. Now, President Trump and I know we don't have to choose between supporting law enforcement and supporting our African American families. I mean, we can support law enforcement with more resources for better training and also support improving the quality of life, education, jobs, opportunities for our minority families in our cities. From the first day of our administration, we have done both, and we will keep doing both for 4 more years. But I got to tell you, when he was asked whether he'd support cutting funding to law enforcement, Joe Biden replied, yes, absolutely. But under this president, we'll always stand with those who serve in law enforcement. We're not going to defund the police, not now, not ever. So in 3 short years, we rebuilt our military. We revived our economy. We stood for life and liberty. We stood for law and order. And America is strong again. America was respected again. Our liberties were more secure. And in those first 3 years, only 3 ways you can describe it. It was jobs, jobs, jobs. I mean, it's amazing to think that with less taxes, less regulation, more American energy, and fighting for free and fair trade, businesses large and small across this country created 7 million good-paying jobs. In fact, the President and I are most proud of the fact that wages rose at their fastest pace in more than 10 years. And in fact, they rose most rapidly for hardworking, blue-collar Americans. The forgotten men and women of America were forgotten no more. When Joe Biden was vice president, America lost 200,000 manufacturing jobs. And remember the last president 4 years ago, Mike? He actually said that those jobs were never coming back. He said, quote, "What magic wand do you have?" Well, we didn't need a magic wand. We just needed President Donald Trump in the White House. 500,000 manufacturing jobs created in just 3 years. And none of that would have been possible without the strong support of our allies in the Congress. And I got to tell you, if there are 2 more tenacious, principled conservatives or champions for Pennsylvania in the Congress of the United States, I can't think of them. Congressman Mike Kelly, Congressman John Joyce, thank you so much for fighting for Pennsylvania and fighting at this president's side. So we created the greatest economy in the world. At the end of our first 3 years, more Americans were working than ever before. In a word, we made America great again. And then the coronavirus pandemic struck from China. Now, the people of Pennsylvania deserve to know that before the first documented case of community spread happened in the United States, President Donald Trump took the unprecedented step of suspending all travel from China. It had never been done before. And I can tell you, as the head of the White House Coronavirus Task Force, that action saved untold American lives. And it bought us invaluable time to stand up the greatest national mobilization since World War II. At the President's direction, we marshaled the full resources of the federal government and the full resources of our free enterprise economy. Now, our hearts go out to all the families that have lost loved ones during this pandemic, including the more than 7,000 families still grieving here in Pennsylvania. I want them to know and you to know they've always been on our hearts. And they're in our prayers. But we're continuing to work our way through this time as a nation. We've made sure that our tests were available across the country, 800,000 tests a day. We've made sure that our doctors and nurses had hundreds of millions of personal protective equipment. And with tremendous ingenuity, we've been developing treatments that are saving lives all across America. Even though Joe Biden said no miracle is coming, we're on track to have a safe and effective coronavirus vaccine this year. All of our scientists say it's not if, it's when. And we're driving toward it, we're working toward it with incredible American ingenuity. That's why it's so irresponsible that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have actually started to question whether our administration can even produce a safe vaccine. And last weekend, Joe Biden's running mate repeatedly said that she would not trust a vaccine produced under President Donald Trump. Now that's an insult to thousands of dedicated scientists and researchers who have been working around the clock to save American lives. I mean, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris should stop playing politics with American lives. They should stop undermining public confidence in a vaccine that will save American lives, and they should thank our great research companies, thank our scientists, and thank our president for working tirelessly to get a safe and effective vaccine to the American people this year. So with all we've done together, we're slowing the spread. We're protecting the vulnerable. We're saving lives. In the midst of this pandemic, President Trump also worked with leaders in both parties in the Congress. We literally secured more than $4 trillion in direct aid to America's families and a paycheck protection program that saved 50 million American jobs. And I promise all of you, every day until the day comes that we put the coronavirus in the past, we're going to put the health of America first. But because of the strong foundation President Trump poured and the unprecedented aid that we provided to families and businesses, after losing 22 million jobs at the height of this pandemic, the American comeback is underway. We've added 10.6 million jobs back to this economy in just 4 months, including 530,000 jobs right here in Pennsylvania. We are opening up America again, and we're opening up America's schools. So we've gone through a time of testing, but soon we're coming to a time for choosing. The choice in this election has never been clearer. The stakes have never been higher. I mean, it's amazing to think, in the middle of a global pandemic, Joe Biden wants to raise taxes by $4 trillion. Well, we cut taxes across the board for working families and businesses, and we're going to keep cutting taxes for 4 more years. Joe Biden wants to bury our economy under an avalanche of red tape, like his own version of the Green New Deal. This president, we've actually signed more bills cutting federal red tape than any president in American history, and we're going to keep right on chopping for 4 more years. You know, I heard Joe Biden's in Michigan today, talking about made in America. But you know, the truth is, for decades, Joe Biden's been a cheerleader for communist China. In fact, he wants to repeal all the tariffs that President Trump imposed that are leveling the playing field right now for American workers. And Joe Biden even criticized the president's decision way back in January to suspend all travel from China. Our president, when we took office, half of our trade deficit was with China. President Trump made it clear. The era of economic surrender is over. We stood up to China. We put jobs and workers in America first, and we're going to keep standing strong until we level the playing field. And it wasn't just about China. I mean, where Joe Biden voted for NAFTA so many years ago, and in the wake of NAFTA, we saw 60,000 American factories closed in this country. Thanks to President Donald Trump, NAFTA is yesterday, and the USMCA is here to stay. It's a win for Pennsylvania, it's a win for workers, and a win for farmers. But I don't have to tell most of you gathered here that when it comes to energy, President Donald Trump has been a champion for American energy independence. We ended the war on coal. We unleashed American energy, and now the United States is a net exporter of energy for the first time in 70 years. Joe Biden and the radical left want to crush American energy and crush American energy jobs. They want to raise the cost of electricity for every household and business in Pennsylvania. I mean, last week Joe Biden went to Pittsburgh after months of campaigning on a plan to abolish fossil fuels. I heard him say, quote, "I am not for banning fracking." Well, maybe he just forgot what he said before. So let me help him out. I mean, the people of Pennsylvania deserve to know. When Joe Biden was asked in July of last year, quote, "Would there be any place for fossil fuels, including coal and fracking, in a Biden administration?" Joe Biden said, quote, "No. We would make sure it's eliminated." When he was questioned by an activist if he would ban fracking, Joe Biden said, and I quote, "I would love to." And last March, in a debate, Joe Biden said, "No new fracking." You know, here in Pennsylvania, some estimates show that ending fracking would literally cost 500,000 jobs. But that's apparently not a problem for Joe. Because he was asked in a debate whether he'd be willing, and this was the question, whether he'd be willing to sacrifice hundreds of thousands of blue-collar jobs for the sake of their radical environmental agenda, and he said, quote, "The answer is yes." And about this time last year, he even said to a supporter, I guarantee, we're going to end fossil fuels. I mean, the truth of the matter is, we should take Joe Biden at his word and make sure we have 4 more years of energy independence, 4 more years of President Donald Trump in the White House. What Joe doesn't know is that America's future depends on energy independence. So I promise you, all you gathered here, all the great workers at Penn Energy, whatever you may hear over what happens between now and Election Day, Joe Biden, the Democratic Party, and the radical left are going to work to abolish fossil fuels, but we're not going to let it happen. With President Donald Trump in the White House, we're going to have more fracking, more American energy, more energy independence for this generation and for generations to come. Problem. Yeah, it's just one of the reasons why we need 4 more years of President Donald Trump in the White House. I mean, 4 more years means more jobs. 4 more years means more support for our troops and our police. 4 more years means more energy independence. And it's going to take at least 4 more years to drain that swamp. You know, every day President Trump has been fighting to protect the promise of America. And every day our president has been fighting to expand the reach of the American dream to every American of every race and creed and color. I've been there with him every step of the way, and I can promise you, he never stops fighting. And President Donald Trump has never stopped fighting for you. So now it's our turn to fight for him. It's on. It's on, Pennsylvania. So I need you to bring it. I need you to let these people go find some shade. Give me a big round of applause for the Penn Energy team. What a great team. What a great team. Thank you, men and women. Thank you so much. And thank you all for coming out today, but I leave you here with a challenge, folks. I got up this morning. I think there's like 55 days left to Election Day. So we got to put our head down and we got to go tell the story to all of our neighbors and friends. And we got to have faith. Okay? I mean, we got to have faith in the American people. As we see the other side laying out their radical left agenda of more taxes, more regulation, less support for our troops and our police, departing from our most cherished values and liberties and ideals. And you see a president that's standing up for everything that's always made America great. We got to go have confidence. I truly do believe, standing here in Freedom, Pennsylvania, every time the American people are given a choice between more freedom and less freedom, they choose more freedom every time. This is a freedom-loving nation, so go talk to your neighbors and friends and tell them freedom's on the ballot on November 3rd. And have that other kind of faith, too, that in these challenging times, when it seems like there's more that divides us in this country than any time in my lifetime, I still believe that there will always be more that unites us than could ever divide us, and chief among those things is faith. And so on this one, I just encourage you to, if you occasionally bow the head and bend the knee, be a good time to do it in the next 55 days. And on this one, though, I'm not so much talking about praying for our team or for a cause or for a party. I'm just saying, pray for America. Pray for all the American people. Because America matters. And prayer matters. And I truly do believe that if His people who are called by His name will humble themselves and pray, He'll do like He's always done in the long and storied history of this great nation. He'll hear from heaven, and He'll heal this land. This one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So I have faith. I'm going to let you all get out of the sun. I thank you for such a warm welcome. I just know if all of us do all that we need to do between now and Election Day, we're going to have a great American comeback. We're going to make Pennsylvania and America stronger and more prosperous than ever before, more energy independent than ever before, more grounded in our highest ideals, and more secure at home and abroad than ever before. And I just know that when we return Congressman Mike Kelly and Congressman John Joyce to a new Republican majority with Sean Parnell in the Congress of the United States, and when we re-elect President Donald Trump for 4 more years, and with God's help, we will make America great again. Again. Thank you all very much. God bless Pennsylvania, and God bless America. Let's go get it done.